tradition.
Crimson.
Epic.
Insane.
Awesome.
Electrifying.
Glory.
Exhilarating.
Excellent.
Revenge.
Houndstooth. Cutthroat. Intense.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Competitive.
Honor.
Incredible.
Tradition.
I'm Eric Turner from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Lindsay Greenberg, Los Angeles, California.
Pam Patterson from Columbus, Ohio.
Ellie Duconer from Atlanta, Georgia. Taylor Pickett, Nashville, Tennessee. Grace Duconer from Johns Creek, Georgia.
Madeline Nawn, I'm from Middletown, Delaware. Connor Griscom from Swedesboro, Woolwich, New Jersey.
I'm Paul Brazy from Akron, Ohio.
Adam Gabriel from Gadsden, Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance.
And one more word to describe the Iron Bowl. Tonight, it has finally arrived, and you're looking live at the Walk of Champions, which in several hours will be full of Crimson Tide fans ready to cheer on the Crimson Tide against the arch-rival Auburn Tigers. In fact, it's already full. And welcome in, everybody, to Crimson Tide Kickoff presented by Alpha Insurance. I'm Gary Harris. We're with you for the next 60 minutes, getting you primed and ready for the Iron Bowl, the 79th edition, tonight. It'll kick off at 6:45 from Bryant-Denny Stadium, the first nighttime Iron Bowl ever at BDS. Here's what's coming up on the show. We'll welcome Marquis Maze, former Crimson Tide wide receiver. He'll discuss the game, and Amari Cooper. Also, his face became famous for all the wrong reasons during last year's game. Alabama student Will Schneid will join us to relive that, in his mind, infamous moment and maybe exorcise some of the demons. And this week, B.J. Milliken gets up close and personal with real elephants and tigers in another fabulous edition of Milliseconds. Plus, we'll hear from members of the ESPN Game Day crew as they prepare for another Iron Bowl, including one of the members of tonight's broadcast team. We'll also welcome Travis Reier from BamaOnline.com. He'll help me break down the game. But first, we're ready to check in with the rest of our CTKO crew, who are all standing by. As usual, we're all over campus today. First, we head to the Walk of Champions to check in on Jen Chapman. Jen.
Gary, here's a face many people recognize, and we are going to get to interview Will. His face became famous last year, and we will get to interview him later. And also, we've got a segment coming up all about the kids that are fans of Alabama, and you're not going to want to miss what these kids have to say. What do you guys want to say?
Roll Tide!
We'll hear more of that later. And Chelsea, out to you. Thanks, Jen. It's finally here, the game that everyone in the state of Alabama waits on all year long, the game that's proven time and time again that literally anything can happen. As you can see, fans did not waste any time getting ready for the Iron Bowl out here on the quad this morning. We've seen friends divided, couples divided, even tents divided. Now, last night I did have a hard time finding some Auburn fans to talk to me down on the strip, but they are definitely making their presence known in Tuscaloosa this morning. Lots and lots of orange and blue out here on the quad. We'll have more on this friendly rivalry coming up during our Tailgaters of the Week segment. It's really chilly out here right now. Richard, is it going to warm up?
Yeah, Chelsea, it's going to get a lot warmer today. We're going to be back in the mid-60s. Cloud cover kind of keeping temperatures down right now, but that changes in time for game day. Going to be outdoors a little later on this afternoon. Let's check out what's happening right now with our Tuscaloosa Tire camera. There is College Game Day, ESPN's College Game Day. The crowd's starting to thin out now. The game day is over with, at least ESPN's part. 55 now Tuscaloosa. It is warming up. Let's check out the temperature map because we've got warming temperatures, even though we have some cloud cover. But look to the southwest. Jackson, 67. Hattiesburg, 66. That warmer air is coming our way later today. In fact, the satellite radar will show you where the cloud cover is now. It's getting out of here. We got some clouds over us right now, a little batch of clouds moving across this morning, but notice back in Mississippi, that's starting to clear up, allowing temperatures to warm up. So the forecast for today, we will warm back up now. We are looking at temperatures back around 59 by noon, partly cloudy from noon to 3 o'clock. Temperatures topping out around 65 depending on how much sun we get, and then back down to around 58 just before kickoff in Tuscaloosa here in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Here's that kickoff forecast against 6:45. The Big Iron Bowl. Alabama taking on Auburn. 55 at kickoff, 54 at halftime, and wrap up the game at Bryant-Denny Stadium around 52. So heading out to the game, light jacket may be needed. It's not going to be overly cold, but it will be a fairly cool day at Bryant-Denny. Going to go over to Gary Harris now.
All right, thank you so much, Richard, and I'm glad the forecast is going to improve, or the weather's going to improve, according to your forecast, because it's a little chilly right now. Much more on the Iron Bowl edition of Crimson Tide Kickoff still to come, including all throughout the show, flashbacks to great Iron Bowl memories from the past. But next, he was a member of 2 Alabama National Championship teams, and he won 3 times against the Tigers. Marquis Maze joins us on the show to break down the game and talk Amari Cooper. Stay with us. Crimson Tide Kickoff will be right back.
Play action fake, rolling right to throw it off. Church, touchdown! Touchdown, 4 yards!
It kept the Tide alive on the drive for their first national championship under Nick Saban, and that play right there. McElroy to Upchurch gave the Tide a thrilling 5-point win over the Auburn Tigers in the Iron Bowl back in 2009. A great moment from a great game right there, and our first guest today should remember that one very well because he was on that team. Marquis Maze, he had 2008, the disappointment of getting to 12-0 and being knocked off by Florida. Come back in 2009. You go 11-0, yet you're staring at a deficit with about 3 minutes to go in that game, and you guys came through. That had to be so rewarding.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. I think that game, it just came down to, we felt the defeat in 2008 against Florida in the SEC championship, and we just wanted it. And that last drive was telling.
And you got it. And then the next week you finished Florida off. This time they didn't get you a second time in a row.
Right. It was a revenge type game, just sort of like the Iron Bowl today.
Let's talk about, I'm going to cover several subjects, but I want to start with your career at Alabama and how it almost didn't, you almost didn't have a career at Alabama. You committed to Michigan. You said you probably would have wound up at Tennessee. Mike Shula did not recruit you.
Right.
You weren't going to have an opportunity to play here. Talk about when Nick Saban came to Alabama and how you wound up, accepting a scholarship offer.
I followed Nick Saban the whole time he was at LSU, so I knew what kind of pedigree he had as a coach. And when he got here, he just told me don't hold a grudge against his staff because the previous staff made a mistake in not recruiting me. And he just asked me to give him a chance, and I did. And I'm thankful I gave him a chance, and I'm thankful he offered me a scholarship.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Let's talk about, since you were part of the transformation, 2007, you redshirted. That team, people forget, got out to a 6-2 record, and then the Bookgate situation, you wound up losing the final 4 games before beating Colorado in the bowl game. But going into 2008, your redshirt freshman season, did you have a feeling, because that really kind of came out of nowhere, that you could get to Atlanta that year? Did the team feel strongly that it could happen that soon?
Yeah, we did, because we got some key guys, and Julio Jones and Dante Hightower that year. A few more guys, Mark Barron, and we had a strong team. And the way we practiced, we always thought we could do it. And that year it wasn't surprising to us, maybe more to the fans than us.
Might have won a national championship that year, but you got T-bowed in Atlanta.
Right.
Fourth quarter lead against the Gators, but the kid made some fabulous throws, and they beat you. Then the next year, as we already alluded to, that team, it was pretty much national championship or bust, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. That year it was no losing. I mean, we had guys like Rolando McClain was a great leader, and I mean, he willed us to a lot of wins. As far as his leadership, he was a great leader.
got it done in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena in the BCS championship game against Texas, another traditional power. Then you saw the flip side of success in 2010, maybe the most talented team Alabama's had under Nick Saban, and you lost 3 games. Now, there's a fourth quarter loss against South Carolina, a heartbreaker against LSU, a heartbreaker against Auburn, but still, what happened that season?
I think that year we got complacent. We thought we could just show up and beat everybody just because of what we did the previous year. And I don't think we prepared well for each game. And it really caught up with us in the fourth quarter of those games you mentioned. And that's how that really happened.
Came up short. Of course, we talk so much about the kick six. You were part of the first really big Auburn disappointment under Nick Saban, the comeback, I guess you could call it, instead of a comeback. You know, you got up 24-0, probably should have been larger than that, but Alabama in the first half in 2010 dominated Auburn.
Right.
And it got away from you. I mean, how did that happen?
Like I said, we was complacent. I feel like we thought it was over going up at half, 24 points, and I think Cam happened.
Yeah, you got Tebow, you got Cam. At least 2 great quarterbacks, 2 Heisman Trophy winners.
Right.
That's what it took to take Alabama down. All right, let's move on. 2011, you won the national championship. Well, let's talk about right now. First, I want to get your thoughts on Amari Cooper. You were a really fine wide receiver yourself. You played with Julio Jones, who's one of the best guys in the NFL. What is it about Coop that makes him special?
Man, the guy's a workhorse. His work ethic, the way he catches the ball, his speed. I think, in my opinion, I think he's the best receiver to come through this university.
Better than Julio?
It's a tough call, but I think he's the best receiver to come through the university.
You know, the thing that amazes me, Marquis, and Julio was so big and physical and strong, but this guy, he just looks like he's gliding. You know, it just looks like he's not even trying, and he's just leaving people behind him. He is a really smooth operator.
Oh, yeah, he's very smooth in his routes, nice hands. I think like I say, I think he's the best receiver to come through the university. And no disrespect to Julio or Tyrone Porto or the rest of the guys, myself included.
Marquis Maze included.
But
he's special.
He's special.
All right, today we know the kick six still looms. Is Alabama going to make that a distant memory? Is the Tide going to take care of business today, in your opinion?
I think they will, because I know the guys and the pedigree that they have, and that the pregame speech coach is going to give them. So I know he.
I want to ask about that. You came off that loss in 2010, and the next year you beat them 42-14 down there. What is a Nick Saban pregame speech against Auburn, coming off a loss against Auburn like?
He let his hair back. He came in with his tie unhooked, and he let his hair back and told us, let's go out here and play ball.
So he's going to let him have it today.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Marquis.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it, man. More to come on CTKO. For more on what she has in store for us, here is Jen Chapman.
Well, Gary, you just alluded to the kick six, and there is probably somebody who really wants that memory gone. Will is going to be out here. Will Schneider, his face became famous, basically the poster child for what fans felt like when they saw that kick. And so when we return, we are going to get a live interview with the man himself.
Thank you, Jen. Stay with us. Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance, the Iron Bowl edition. We'll continue right after this timeout. Well, we've all seen it hundreds, we make that thousands of times by now, but nobody has been told about it more than Will Schneider. He's the fan whose reaction pretty much summed up all of the Alabama fans at that particular moment in last year's Iron Bowl. And joining us once again from the Walk of Champions with a special guest is Jen Chapman. Jen, you'll have a little cleansing ritual for us today, right, in terms of Will and what happened last year.
Correct, and we can't help but smile just a little bit while looking at that. And Will, I just heard somebody say, that's the guy from TV last year. What is it like to be the guy from TV?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I didn't know that I would be on TV at all. I just showed up to Iron Bowl thinking we just have a good time, we would win. But after that kick six, I had no idea that my face would become on TV. So it's pretty crazy.
What does it feel like, though, that your face is actually like the poster child or the face of what Alabama fans felt like?
I mean, everyone told me after the game that they had the same exact reaction afterwards. They would come up to me like, you look pretty familiar. My face was the exact same after that Iron Bowl loss. So it's pretty incredible that my face got to be representing Alabama too.
Now, I was told you met Chris Davis, and one of your friends said you actually are like a celebrity to Chris Davis instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
He gave you an autograph. What was that like to meet him?
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. We just went to Birmingham, and Chris Davis, he was signing autographs. So we just got in line. There's all these Auburn fans. We're the only Alabama fans in the room. So about 50 of them, and they all were like, you look kind of familiar. So my friend, he's like, this is the kid from TV. So they all started like taking pictures with me. They asked for my autograph as well. So they were saying that I was more famous than Chris Davis just for that moment. But it's pretty cool meeting them and getting to share that experience.
How long did it take for you to kind of take out that emotion from that night?
Yeah, I mean, I drove right after the game. I drove back to Tuscaloosa from Auburn. So that drive kind of helped mitigate that loss, being by myself and getting back home. So, I mean, it was only a day. As Nick Saban said, 24 hours and then it's over.
So that applies to the fans as well.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So what do you think is going to happen in this year's Iron Bowl? Everybody is talking about this being a potential revenge game. What do you guys feel like as fans?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Alabama's going to win. After Georgia beating Auburn last week, I think Alabama has a great chance of just doing what they always do and just getting the job done. And I think they're going to win probably 35-21 or so.
Have you been practicing the emotion you should show on your face today?
I've tried a few times in the mirror.
Let me see. Well, you're such a great sport, and we want to make this even better for you. So we printed out 6 copies of your face from last year on TV. Everybody hold them up. And we have Alabama fans that are going to help you get rid of this moment forever. We are going to rip that baby up. 6 for the kick 6. Ready? Right. 1, 2, 3. And Will, we hope with that it brings you some better luck tonight, and maybe your face will be back on TV, but with a different memory.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate having me.
Thank you. And Gary, God, he's such a good sport. You got to love that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Will. That was really entertaining and, as we alluded to, cleansing. So it's over with. It's a new year, a new game, and that's just a memory. Well, we've got more coming up on CTKO. We'll continue to flash back to Iron Bowl memories from the past. Plus, we'll hear from Chelsea Barton with our Tailgaters of the Week. And a little later, how this game breaks down to a couple of ESPN analysts. That's coming up as well.
And coming up next on Crimson Tide Kickoff, we're going to take you inside the real world of mascots. That's right, real elephants and real tigers. And a real important question, who's going to win in a fight? That's coming up after the break.
Quarterback, Bostic the running back. Off a fake, White looks left, high, intercepted. Teague picks it off, and he's going to go the distance. Antonio Langham.
Brent Musburger was on the call that day, and he'll be on the call tonight too. Initially he said Teague, but he got it right. Antonio Langham in the 1992 Iron Bowl, which lifted Alabama into the first SEC championship game and eventually into the national championship game against Miami in the Sugar Bowl. Here's a live look at the quad. It's early, but already the campus is packed with Iron Bowl fans from both sides. More Alabama than Auburn, obviously, but a lot of Auburn fans have made the trek to Tuscaloosa. Elephants and Tigers will meet on the football field in just a little bit this evening, but what if they were to meet in real life, in the wild? To dive into the animal kingdom of the Iron Bowl like only he can. Here's B.J. Milliken with this week's Milliseconds.
Here today at the Birmingham Zoo, I spent some time with Big Al, the fake elephant. Who is the man behind the mask? There's no man. It's a pachyderm. That's right. Today we're going to spend some time with real elephants and real tigers. So let's mosey on.
Roll Tide.
Here's Laura Schellinger. She is the manager of the Trails of Africa. She's been showing us these big, wonderful beasts. Tell us a little bit about the elephants here at the zoo.
These 3 back here are our youngest, and they're very rambunctious. They like to push each other around and knock down trees and play and fight all day. We're the only zoo in North America to have only males, so like I said, they like to fight all day. They push on each other. Boys will be boys. That's what they do.
Laura, we're going to get to the hard-hitting questions now. It's the Iron Bowl week, so we're going to talk Alabama, Auburn. What makes this big, giant elephant a good football mascot?
Oh, just their sheer size, and like I said, they like to push around on each other, so they like to fight, and they've got good spirit. So
Perfect football player, right?
that's right.
Just throw a helmet on them and they're good. All right, here with Lindsay, who is the head predator keeper here at the Birmingham Zoo. As you see behind us, Kumar. Tell us a little bit about Kumar.
All right, this is Kumar. He is our 15-year-old Malayan tiger. He's weighing about 250 pounds. You can hear him roaring right now, kind of marking his territory. He gets about 8 pounds of meat a day. We train him daily. He knows different behaviors like up, down, a sit, a side presentation. He'll walk on a scale for us.
What makes a tiger a great mascot?
Well, the tiger, they are the apex predator in the wild, so that makes them a powerful individual in the wild, so they makes them a powerful mascot here in the SEC.
What would make a tiger a good football player?
Well, I look at Kumar and I think he'd be a good receiver because he would kind of lull the defense to sleep, and because he's that ambush predator, he'd get him with the big play in the end, and with those big paws and that excellent jumping ability, no defender could cover him. He would catch everything that was thrown his way. So.
This is not going to play well in Tuscaloosa. One of the other things that we need to ask that's a pressing question for us in Tuscaloosa, in the wild, could an elephant beat a tiger in a fight?
I think it could, but you'd have to ask a wild elephant.
Who would win in a fight between an elephant and a tiger? What say you?
Well, the elephant for Alabama is an African elephant, and of course Kumar is from Asia. So an African elephant and a Malayan tiger, they would never cross paths in the wild.
Oh, come on, let's be fun here. Can I press you on it?
I'm educating all the visitors that they wouldn't cross paths.
If an elephant and a tiger fought together, who do you think would win?
Alabama.
That's the right answer. Just your best guess. You're just best.
Well, like I said, I mean, the tiger's got that jumping ability, so I don't think the defense could cover him. So.
The elephant's big and strong, right?
But the tiger's fast. He's pretty quick, so I think he could outrun that elephant.
Roll Tide, War Eagle.
I am a Michigan State grad, so I'm a Big Ten fan.
What? Michigan State? Cut. Just cut.
We're not biased here at the zoo. We like our animals in general.
We may never know. Okay, so no one would give us a straight answer, elephant or tiger, so we're here with the person who knows. Elephant or tiger? She said elephant.
Great piece, BJ. In India there are tigers and elephants, so they could cross paths there. Of course, they'll cross paths tonight at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and that's all fans in this state are worried about is who's going to win in the football game. Well, it's time to head over to the quad for our weekly visit with Chelsea Barton. She has this week's Tailgaters of the Week.
Now, this week's Tailgaters of the Game, brought to you by Krispy Kreme Donuts.
Hey, Gary, I'm live out here on the quad with our Iron Bowl Tailgaters of the Week. These folks embody everything that is the rivalry between the University of Alabama and Auburn University. Julie rolls with the Tide, and Cindy cheers for the Tigers. Tell me a little bit about you guys' friendship.
Our kids went to high school together all through freshman year through senior year, and they've been best friends. And then my daughter now goes to Alabama, and Cole goes to Auburn. And the parents are best friends, the kids have remained best friends, and so what else to do other than have a tent divided?
Perfect, tent divided. Cindy, talk to me about how you guys started tailgating here together this year.
Actually, this is the first time I would have to say us Auburn family is here in Alabama tailgating. So basically we took Julie's little area and expanded because, you need room for the Auburn folks. But it's been fun so far. We're going to have lots of food.
And you guys, of course, are still on that win from last year. You're hoping for a repeat or something exciting.
Of course. But if not, we'll still hug at the end of the game.
Exactly.
You two have a good outlook on it. Nothing ever gets messy between this rivalry.
No.
Well, it is my absolute pleasure to present you guys with a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts each month for an entire year. Auburn, Alabama fans, everybody loves Krispy Kreme. I hope you guys enjoy these, and I want everybody to shout for their favorite team on 3 for me. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Roar Eagles!
Thank y'all so much. Gary, back to you guys.
Thank you again, Chelsea. Everything's friendly right now between the Alabama and Auburn fans. That'll start to change as we get closer to kickoff. Well, we've got more CTKO coming up, including a special look at the Iron Bowl rivalry through the eyes of kids. Plus, it's always a big deal when ESPN rolls into T-Town with the game day crew. We'll hear from a couple of the experts, including one who will call tonight's action. Stay with us. Crimson Tide Kickoff will be back on this Iron Bowl Saturday right after this timeout.
Riddle is the running back. 2 wideouts right, 2 wideouts left. Shotgun, Kitchens gets the snap, throws left middle, makes the grab 5, angles right 3, 2, 1, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown with 26 seconds to go. Left, Craig steps up.
In Gene Stallings' final Iron Bowl in 1996, Dennis Riddle's screen pass reception from Freddie Kitchens made a winner out of Coach Stallings. He went 5-2 against the Tigers in the Iron Bowl. Well, that was a terrific game, and there have been a lot of fantastic finishes in this rivalry lately, that's for sure. And this year might be no different. That's one of the reasons ESPN is back in Tuscaloosa today on campus for game day after being here just 2 weeks ago for the Mississippi State game. Now, they started setting up for their show on Tuesday, and they worked right through Thanksgiving. Joe Namath was the guest picker this morning. And yesterday we spoke with Chris Fowler, the host of Game Day, about this rivalry, and Jesse Palmer, who will be the analyst during tonight's game as he'll work that along with Brent Musburger.
I actually was here for an Iron Bowl on the sidelines when Cam Newton engineered a comeback. A great moment for Auburn, not so great for Alabama. So I know what it's like, the intensity in this building when those two teams get together. And it's interesting because, like a lot of rivalry games, the favorite has a lot more to play for on paper than the underdog. But on the other hand, in games like this, you never want to hear about spoilers. Teams like Auburn don't want the spoiler label because they have plenty to play for themselves. So I expect intensity and drama, and you know, there's always the potential in games like this that a chapter will unfold that will be part of college football history, like what happened last year.
Especially when you consider the winner of this game over the last 5 years has gone on to play in a national championship game. It's not just, I think the tradition and the pageantry is right up there with the best in the country. It always has been in terms of an interstate rivalry game, division opponents and in the SEC. But I think what this game has meant to the winner, especially recently, has made it even more special.
And Alabama certainly no stranger to game day. This will be the Tide's 32nd appearance on the show. They have a 19-12 record, including a 16-6 mark under Nick Saban. The 23 appearances since 2007 are the most in the country during that time span. Well, it's always nice to have a little perspective on days like today, and to do that, we head back down to our Jen Chapman. She's standing by to bring us a look at the Iron Bowl from a different viewpoint. Jen?
Gary, I like the use of the words little perspective because that's exactly what you're about to get. These little pint-sized Alabama fans may only be 3 and 5 years old, but they already know where their allegiance lies. Let's hear the kids talk Bama.
Number 1.
Who's number 1?
Alabama. Number 2, Texas A&M. Oregon.
The next generation of Bama fans already have their favorites.
My name is Sharon, Raymond Foster, and Amari Cooper, and TJ Yeldon. Amari Cooper.
Why is TJ Yeldon your favorite?
Amari Cooper. Because I named my fish that.
You named your fish TJ Yeldon? Perhaps Nick Saban will have a pet named after him. After all, he only gets mad sometimes. What does he do when he gets mad?
He just does this. No. I hope he wins another day. He does.
Every color is their favorite, except... What about orange?
No.
What's better, elephant or tiger?
Elephant.
Okay, what about when you hear people say, War Eagle, what do you think? All they want to see is...
When Amari Cooper goes down for a touchdown. For a long pass.
If the Tide should fall, the feeling is like this.
Like, dang it. Yeah, like that. Dang
their Iron Bowl score prediction very familiar.
0. 0 to 59.
0 to 59?
Yes, like the Texas A&M game.
So bring on the Iron Bowl. Can I get a
Roll Tide!
What about War Eagle?
No!
Those kids just can't help but make you smile. Thank you so much to Alex, Austin, and Emma Kate for participating. And Austin had some pretty bold predictions about this year. He knew that Alabama has won 15 championships, and he said they're going to get number 16. So these kids really are smart and really love their Alabama Crimson Tide. Gary?
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen. Really, really interesting there to see it from a child's perspective. Well, coming up on Crimson Tide Kickoff, we'll break down tonight's game and what it means to the Tide with BamaOnline.com's Travis Reier. Stay with us. More Iron Bowl memories are coming up after this break. CTKO rolls on live from the University of Alabama campus. You stay with us.
A 52-yard try. The clock will not start till the ball is snapped. There is the snap, the kick. It is in the air. It has fisted. It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! Van Tiffin has won the ball game. Alabama has beaten Auburn. Van Tiffin has kicked a 52-yard field goal. And the state of Alabama is crimson.
One of the most iconic finishes in Iron Bowl history, certainly from an Alabama perspective. Van Tiffin, the 52-yard field goal as time expired at Legion Field in 1985. Paul Kennedy, Doug Layton, a great call, and Travis Reier from Bama Online joins me now. Travis, I always like to tell a couple stories about that game. I was actually videoing for the Ray Perkins show. So you remember the old press box at Legion Field?
Yeah.
And we had those new some of the first tripods that weren't the big steel heavy ones. They were, lightweight tripods.
Right.
And when that ball went through, it shook so bad that we had to find other video to use on the Perkins show because my camera was shaking.
Well, I was probably 17 years old in Jacksonville, Florida, and I felt the tremor. I think it was Richter scale caliber after that kick went through the uprights.
And another thing that gets lost, and you can see Kevin Porter, he actually was in so fast he went by the ball, but he was offsides. Alabama would have got another shot from 47, but it's better that it just went through the first time.
They didn't need the mulligan. They were good with the first tee shot.
All right, Travis, good to have you as always.
Always a pleasure,
Like
Gary.
myself, you're a little bit of an Iron Bowl historian. Of course, your brother Chris played here at Alabama, so you go way back with the Crimson Tide. But, all the history in this rivalry, but it's really kind of gone to a different level since Nick Saban arrived at Alabama because with all the turmoil that the Crimson Tide was going through, changing coaches, Auburn had the upper hand. 6 in a row, and then Tuberville won the first year that Saban was here. 2008, 36-0, Tuberville's out of there. Gene Chizik wins a national championship, beating Alabama in a historic comeback fashion. 2010, 2 years later, he's out of there. I mean, it's clear that Auburn understands that Nick Saban's at Alabama, and they have no intentions of ever falling behind or being boat raced again by Alabama.
There's no doubt about it, and you said it. The 2 years where they were really hammered in this rivalry, coaches were replaced, and even one, as you mentioned, coming off a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in a lot of ways Nick Saban hasn't only made this rivalry better from the Alabama perspective, give Auburn credit for that sense of urgency, and as you said, in the concern of getting left behind by your chief rival, they've acted swiftly when they've needed to.
Yeah, and under 3 different coaches, they've had some success. And Alabama, under Nick Saban, 3 BCS titles, 2 SECs, but Auburn in that same time span has 2 SECs and a BCS championship for themselves.
No doubt about it, and I think one of the only programs to have 3 wins against Alabama since 2007. I want to say maybe LSU, the other, but Auburn has mixed it in a little bit more. LSU obviously has dropped 4 straight, but it is maintained. There's been bumps in the road for Auburn, as we've talked about, but they've answered, it seems like, time and time again, and you just can't quite seem to get them to go away.
Yeah, Kevin Skarbinski, AL.com, wrote an interesting column this week. Auburn, the program Nick Saban can wound but can't kill, and that's been kind of true because in the 4 wins under Saban against Auburn, Alabama's outscored him by 118 points. In the 3 losses that he's had, a total of 14 points. But at the end of the day, whether it's 49-0 or 28-27, it counts as 1. And Auburn has won enough, as we've talked about, under against Saban to really keep this rivalry competitive. And if they were to win today, they'd be 500 against them.
Well, and they haven't just been losses.
No,
they have been deep wounds. The Cam game, the Cam back that you talked about earlier, last year's game, they haven't just been losses. I mean, they have just been gut-wrenching. Even the 2007 game was a game Alabama easily could have won. DJ Hall had a ball hit him in the hands in the corner, goes for an interception for Auburn instead, and it was just one of those kind of nights. Alabama wasn't ready to win a game like that, but they've been tough losses when they've happened.
You mentioned the kick six, and it's been talked about ad nauseum, obviously, and Saban this week said, yeah, we're aware of it. We're not going to make it a point of emphasis, but as Marquis Maze said earlier, before he goes out of that locker room onto the field, they're going to talk about last year. You would think, being here at home with a chance to win the SEC and national championship, Alabama has to have the emotional edge since Auburn's really out of it for both of those, the SEC and the national.
You would think that. Auburn lately, you've kind of wondered where that swagger has gone. It just doesn't seem to be a team that, in terms of its psyche right now, it's a long season. And November does a lot of things to a lot of teams. We've seen it with Alabama. Alabama, for the first time in 5 years tonight, is trying to sweep the month of November. Think about that. 2011, 2012, as great as those teams were, they could not finish November. So it's tough when you get down to that final month of the regular season. And for Alabama, I think what Saban really talks about is finishing the game, because Auburn won the game on the kick six last year. Alabama lost the game on the two possessions inside the 35 where they got 0 from their offense and their kicking game.
Yeah, people forget with 3 minutes to go, Alabama had the ball deep in Auburn territory with a 7-point
Just
lead.
needed points.
Could not finish it.
Any type of points.
Anything
and they win the game.
All right, a little more history that's going to be made tonight. This will be the first nighttime kickoff ever at Bryant-Denny. We've had nighttime kickoffs at Auburn and at Legion Field. How do you see this one playing out?
You know, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure Alabama – we always talk about the running game in this rivalry and in most rivalries. I'm not sure Alabama's going to win the running game tonight. They've lost the running game in 3 games this year, and they've won all 3. So it's a different type of Alabama offense. But I think the key for Alabama, as it always is with this Auburn offense, is do not let 2 or 3 guys beat you. If Cameron Artis-Payne gets some yards, that's one thing. But you can't let it turn into Cameron Artis-Payne gets a $140, and now here comes Nick Marshall with 105. You got to take away one of them. And so I think they can do that. I think they're built personnel-wise a little bit better defensively, especially up front this year, assuming Ashawn Robinson can give them something tonight. I think Jaron Reed is going to be a big factor in this game. So I think the interior run game, that's where it starts for Auburn. I think Alabama's built a little better to deal with that. Offensively, I just Auburn up front right now with Devontae Lambert going out last week. They didn't have much of a pass rush to begin with. So I think that Alabama passing game can really make some yards in place. And I just think Alabama across the board is a better football team. But we've said that in other games in the last 6 or 7 years. But I think Alabama at home and with so much to play for.
Score?
I went 28-20. I kind of see it being a game similar to Mississippi State. And if you're Alabama, you want to make Nick Marshall Dak Prescott when he threw it 45, 48 times. If you can get that kind of game from Nick Marshall, then you feel pretty good about it.
Appreciate it, Travis.
Always a pleasure.
Travis Reier, you find him at 247 sportsbamaonline.com. All right, more to come on Crimson Tide Kickoff, including a final look at our game day forecast. But next, does Mississippi State have any chance to break into the top 4 without Alabama falling? We'll have a quick mention of that. But we've got our special celebrity guest. I told you yesterday we might have a special celebrity guest that we were keeping under wraps. Well, it's going to happen, and you'll want to stay tuned to find out who it is right here next. Travis is big, but this person's a little bit bigger, Travis. We got her coming up right after this. Stay with us.
McCarron into the end zone. Amari Cooper, touchdown, Alabama.
We have shown you all these dramatic finishes. The only thing dramatic about 2012 was how bad would it be. Alabama led 42-0 at half, and the Tide, Nick Saban really took it easy on the Tigers in the second half. 49-0, the second largest victory in Iron Bowl history for Alabama, following only 1948 when the Tide won 55-0. All right, Mississippi State needs to win over Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl to stay in the top 4. We were going to talk about that, but we told you yesterday we might, I said might, have a special celebrity guest, and BJ Milliken, our producer, has worked hard to make it happen. Melissa Joan Hart joins us.
Hi there.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
All right, everybody knows you as being a television star and the Teenage Witch and all that good stuff, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but you're known now in these parts for being a big-time Bama fan.
I know
and
that.
It hasn't always been that way.
No, I 12 years ago met my husband from Enterprise, Alabama, and came to my first Iron Bowl that year in 2002. And that was the streak when Auburn started winning.
Right.
So,
you thought you might be bad luck for
I thought I was bad luck. But over the years, obviously, I've seen the transitions and whatnot and become a huge Alabama fan. I mean, we have a room in our house dedicated to Alabama. Our family says Roll Tide on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And, I really know what it's like now to be an Alabama fan. And I constantly am trying to tell people, especially in California and New York, what it's like to be, part of the SEC family and what football down here really means.
Right.
And, some people just don't get it, but I get it now.
Yeah, you do. Because you said a couple of words that every legit Crimson Tide fan understands: Bama room. If you've got the Bama room, then you're the real deal.
And it's our formal living room that we turned into a pool table. We have a crimson-colored pool table. We have the houndstooth drapes. We have an Ingram signed helmet, and we've got a Saban signed football, and we've got a Pro Throw print, Daniel Moore Pro Throw print above the fireplace. So we're that room is well stocked with Alabama memorabilia.
Yeah, and you've got your family here just
I got
offset,
some of my family,
and they're here for it. We've talked a lot about the Kick Six, clearly. I mean, it's applicable to this game because it just happened last year, but it is a bitter pill for Alabama fans, and I know you and the rest of Tide Nation wants to kind of exercise some demons tonight.
I really hope those boys do today. I hope they've been watching that tape over and over again, so they come in just ready to win it. I'm really hoping that today is going to go the way LSU did a few years ago, where we didn't let them get over the 50-yard line at all. Everybody else outside of Alabama fans said it was the most boring game ever, but I think that game was just epic to be there and watch that game and see how Alabama did not let LSU cross that 50-yard line. I would love to see them do that to Auburn today.
Yeah, some payback could be sweet. All right, as a fan, to get to experience the Iron Bowl here, this will be the first nighttime kickoff ever for the Iron Bowl at Bryant-Denny Stadium with your family, with other Alabama fans. How special is this day to you as a Crimson Tide supporter?
This has become such a tradition for us. We've never actually gone to the Iron Bowl at Auburn. We've always gone in Tuscaloosa, and this is our Thanksgiving tradition as we come down to Alabama for Thanksgiving, and then we come to the game. And now that our boys are getting older, they're 6 and 8, the ones that'll be going to the game tonight. We have a 2-year-old that we'll leave behind. But it's become such a tradition for us, and it's so great. And, the last few times we've come to this game, we've watched them win. So, that's always a big plus for our boys to become, Alabama fans the way their daddy is.
All right. Clearly, you're a family woman now, and you're living a normal lifestyle. But as we mentioned, you have the Hollywood connections, and you said that some of those people are interested in how you became an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
Tell some of those stories.
Basically through marriage, down here you got either Alabama or Auburn. I mean, there's no pro sports. So, my husband just was in an Alabama family. His sister went to Alabama. His father went to Alabama for a short time. But he just grew up, generations of Tuscaloosa in his blood. He just is an Alabama fan, and marrying into that, there's no two ways about it. I didn't really have a choice. I was a Yankee fan and a Giants fan, but because I grew up in New York, so I basically just through marriage became an Alabama fan, and over the years now learning about the players and the way the game is played. Really, I didn't know football at all, so really learning how the game is played and just seeing the team develop and what Coach Saban's been able to do with it. And last night we were lucky enough to get a tour. Bill Battle sent us on a little tour of the facilities, and we got to see the cheerleaders practice, and it's just become such a thing in our family, and I just am so happy that I've been able to enjoy it the way I have.
Real quickly, I've seen you on some commercials. Professionally, I know you're raising a family, but professionally, you got any projects working that are coming out?
I do have a lot, actually. On December 4th, I have all these Walmart commercials right now, but on December 4th, we did a really special one with my family that'll be on the Peter Pan live airing on NBC, so on December 4th, you can check out those commercials. But on the 10th, we have our Melissa and Joey very special Christmas episode, and on December 13th, I directed a movie called The Santa Con, which is going to be on Lifetime.
Oh,
so
those are great movies.
And this is such a wonderful one, and it's one of the only ones with a male perspective.
Can't wait for that.
Thank you.
All right, prediction for tonight.
Oh my gosh, Alabama by 2 touchdowns at least, if they don't totally wipe them out.
At least. Could be worse than that. Thank you so much, Melissa. We appreciate it. All right, Crimson Tide kickoff, a final wrap-up. It was our pleasure to have Melissa Joan Hart. We'll finish it up from Tuscaloosa Live here on the UA campus right after this. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. It is kind of cool out here. If you've been out to Tuscaloosa, heading out to game day, want to check out that forecast, and it is going to be fairly cool for the game. So if you're heading out, 6:45 kickoff, take the light jacket, look for temperatures in the mid-50s at 6:45, back in the low 50s. Wrap up things at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Going to send it back over to Gary Harris now.
Thank you, Richard. Here's what we've got coming up for you. Sports Saturday tonight. We know that the late kickoff, that game may just be ending by the time that BJ and Jen come on. So at 11:30, we're going to have a special Iron Bowl wrap-up show. Jen and BJ will join me. I'll be on the field. They'll be in the studio. And, of course, as always, we'll have the Nick Saban post-game press conference in its entirety. So we got a big night planned for you here in terms of Iron Bowl coverage. That's going to do it for Crimson Tide Kickoff. A special show today for the Iron Bowl, thanks to our guest. And it's going to be a great day. Everybody enjoy it. Roll Tide.